Assalamu alaikum students and a very good morning to you all. How are you all? Can you hear me? Am I audible to you all? Please reply me in the chat box. Assalamu alaikum students and a very good morning to you all. This is your English class and please tell me, can you hear me? Am I audible to you? Okay, thank you so much Alina Salman, Umema, Yusera and Suhema. Thank you everyone for your timely response. Thank you. Okay, walaikum assalam everyone and very good morning. Okay students, so this is our English literature lecture, okay? Please turn off your cameras and mics. Okay, we are going to start our today's lecture number 26, okay? It's lecture number 26 and we are reading the Sunday morning, okay? Sunday morning. We have already finished Huck Makes Friend means its first chapter in our previous lectures, right? And we are going to start the new chapter of this lesson in church. Okay, so we will read page number 65 till 67 in today's lecture. I hope you all are having your books and your pencils with you. Marusha, first concentrate on the lecture, okay? Okay, so yesterday we made the sentences, right? Yesterday we made the sentences, and before that we did word meanings of this lesson. I hope you all are done with these two tasks, right? So I may check your work in the end, so you have to keep your copies with you. Now, before starting today's lesson, let's just quickly review the previous one. Okay, Huck makes some friends. Who became Huck's friend? Can any of you answer me? Who became Huck's friend? Who became Huck's friend?
Old Welshman.
Okay, old Welshman became Huck's friend because he was so kind to him and he listened to him. Okay, and he listened to him. He opened the door of his house for Huck. Okay, all right. So Huck makes some friends in this way. Huck came back to the old Welshman's house the next morning to know what happened last night. Okay, why he came back again? Just to know what happened last night. Do you remember what happened last night?
The visitors and gentlemen and ladies were coming.
Okay, but I'm asking why Huck came back to the Welshman's house and what happened uh, before that night, before that day.
Engine Joe fire a shot.
Okay, did Injun Joe fire the shot or old Welshman and his sons?
Welshman's sons.
Yes, because Huck told each and everything about Injun Joe and Spaniard. He told about the conversation that held between them, and it was to take revenge from the old lady, Widow Douglas, right? And he told each and everything to the old Welshman, and then they went to rescue her. Then they went to save her from their evil plan. Okay. Yes, on your answer is correct. Very good, Varda. Very good, Hamza, Suhaima. I am getting your answers in the chat box, but you may raise your hand and use your mic to answer me, okay? So, Huck told each and everything related to the appearance of those two men. He told that one of the men was the old deaf and dumb Spaniard with a white beard, and the other man was a ragged looking and mean looking man, right? So he told the appearance of those two men because old Welshman and his son wanted to know how they look like. Okay, how they look like. So what happened next? Who was Spaniard according to Huck? It was Injun Joe. Okay, Injun Joe was Spaniard according to Huck because he was lying a bit to that old Welshman. Okay, and then he told each and everything to to Mr. Jones. He was the old Welshman, and he had breakfast there at his house. And after the breakfast, there was a knock on the door. And you remember who was there? Yes, very good, Alina Salman. Yes,
Miss
who?
the visitor.
Yes, the visitors were there. There were several ladies and gentlemen, and they came there. And as they knocked the door, Huck just got up and found a place to hide. Okay, because he didn't want anyone to know that he was there at Welshman's place. Okay, so there were several ladies and gentlemen who came there, and among them was the widow Douglas. And the news had spread about the last night happenings, and the Welshman had to tell the story of the night to the visitors. Okay, and the lady was so grateful for the old man's help. Okay, the lady was so grateful to old Welshman for helping her. Okay, but old Welshman asked the lady not to help, oh, not to thank him. Okay, and he told the lady that there's another person that you should thank, and he did far for you more than him and his boys. Okay, but he said that he cannot uh, tell his name to the lady. Why? Because Huck requested old Welshman to his keep his name hidden, okay, and not to tell his name to anybody. So this was the whole story of the previous chapter that we read in the last 2 days. Now we are going to start our new chapter, the reading of our new chapter, that is in church. Okay, that is in church. Are you ready? I may ask any of you to start the reading randomly. Okay, if you have any confusion or any question related to the previous chapter, you may ask me in the chat box. And students, I hope you are very much clear about your midterm exams. Your exams are going to be start from the 1st of Feb, so please get yourself prepared for that. You are already having your syllabus, and you will be given the timetable very soon, so just prepare yourself for the exams. Okay, your exam will be of 50 mark. Okay, your exam will be of 50 marks, as you know, and as I have already shared the pattern of English literature and language paper in. Okay, Manadnan, I have already shared the pattern of your paper in the class. And still, if you have any question related to that, you may ask me again here. Yes, okay, you have got your timetable. That's great. Beta, you will not be given very lengthy questions. You will be given short questions. And if I ask you to write the character sketch, it will be of 5 marks. It will not be more than that. Okay. So your paper is going to be a shorter in terms of that. Okay. So
Summary.
okay, if no, there will be no summary, and if I ask you to write few points related to the lesson, it will be of just 2 or 3 marks. So, no need to learn the summaries. Okay, you may write in your own words as well. If you get such questions in the exams, there will be RTC. Definitely, there will be RTCs. You already know that we have practiced a lot. We have done the RTCs of all the chapter, unseen RTC of all the chapters in our revision as well. So please go through the revision test. Okay, go through your revision test in both literature and language. Better, your exams are going to be held in the school. Alina Salman, there will be fill in the blanks, there will be true, false, there will be question answers, but the question answers will not be very lengthy. You will be given 5 question answers, that's it. And each will carry 2 marks, not more than that. So you may have an idea about the length of the question. So it's not going to be the lengthy ones. Yes, short questions, definitely. So please prepare for those questions and the word meanings. Fill in the blanks. I may ask fill in the blanks. Since you know, because since you know, please turn off your mic. Just turn it on when you have to ask something. This is disturbing the class. Yes, beta, there will be MCQs or fill in the blanks as well. I have already shared the paper pattern. Just go through your revision test. Uh, quickly you will just quickly get the idea of the paper pattern. Okay. Yes, RTC. Please go through the RTCs that we have done in the uh, revision. Yes, Aiza Salman. Aiza Salman.
टीचर कॉम्पोजिशन एक पैराग्राफ का होगा ना?
Yes, beta, there will be a composition in your language exam, but it will not be a very lengthy composition. It will be for just 5 or 6 marks. So maybe you will be given just a paragraph to write it to write on a topic. Okay.
मिस
Yes.
मिस सारे बच्चे आएंगे यहाँ पे थोड़े थोड़े करके वैसे जैसे आप पहले नॉर्मल स्कूल्स पे कुछ बच्चों को कौन सी क्लास में कुछ बच्चों को कौन सी क्लास में बिठाती आज कैसे होगा मतलब इस बार
Beta, exam will be conducted like that. Okay, exam will be conducted in that manner, and don't worry about that. SOPs will be followed, and you will be sitting at a great distance, so don't worry about that. Okay, you should not be concerned
ओके
related
मिस
to this. Okay. Yes,
ओके
Alina
मिस
Salman, beta, now you all are repeating the question. There will be choice in application and letter. I have already shared the paper pattern. Now you guys are, I think, wasting time. I think I have answered each and every one, and everything is clear now. Yes,
Miss,
Yes, Miram Vakar. Miram Vakar, you are raising your hand. Miram Vakar, okay, wait. Yes, on. You want to ask something? Yes, on.
मिस एमसीक्यूज और फिंथाबलेंस दोनों आएंगी
Beta, there might be some MCQs and fill in the blanks from the lesson. Okay, most probably you'll be having the fill in the blanks. Okay, 4 or 5 fill in the blanks.
ओके मिस में मजबून कौन कौन से आएंगे
Mazmoon.
लेट
Okay, you are asking about the composition.
यस
Okay, good. Beta, you will be given an unseen topic. Okay, unseen topic, and you'll have to write a paragraph on it. Like I gave some idea about the topics in the class. You will be given any topic. Okay, it will not be from your copy. Letter application or the topic for composition will be unseen. Okay, you have to go through the revision test. I'm repeating again and again, please go through the revision test that we have done for the language and literature. You will have an idea, you have the clear picture what is coming in the exam, how it will come in the exam. So you guys need to go through the revision test. I think I am done with the question answer session. Now I am going to start the reading. Okay. Um, Now some of you are raising hand just to read. Let me read it first, then you are going to read it. Okay. In church, keep your fingers on the line that I'm reading. In church, there was no Sunday school during the day school holiday, but every everybody was early at church. News came that the two men had still not been found. When the meeting was over, Judge Thatcher's wife went to speak to Mrs. Harper. Is my Becky going to sleep all day? I knew she would be very tired. Mrs. Becky was thinking that her daughter was with was with Mrs. Harper. Okay, so Becky was with Mrs. Harper. It was Thatcher's wife's thought. Okay, Thatcher's wife means Becky's mother was thinking that her daughter is with Mrs. Harper. All right. Everybody was there in the church, and the news came that the two men had still not been found. Who were those two men?
Engine Joe
Engine,
and
Spaniard.
Engine Joe and
Yes,
Spaniard.
yes, very good. The news was about Injun Joe and Spaniard because the police and the sheriff were finding those two men. Okay, so now here is my Becky going to sleep all day? I knew she would be very tired. Your Becky, said Mrs. Harper. Yes, didn't she stay with you last night? Now, Mrs. Harper repeated the question. Your Becky? So Becky's mother said, yes, didn't she stay with you last night? So Becky's mother was thinking that her daughter is with Mrs. Harper. Okay, she was thinking that her daughter is with Mrs. Harper. Why no? Mrs. Thatcher turned pale and had to sit just as Aunt Polly passed by. So, after hearing her answer that she wasn't with Mrs. Harper, Becky wasn't with Mrs. Harper, Mrs. Thatcher got so worried. Okay, she turned pale. You know what is the meaning of pale? What is pale?
Dard.
No, no, it's not dirt. That's pain. Pain, pain. Pain means dirt. But what does pale, pale means?
Miss, when something worries the person, his or her face color changes into yellow.
Very good, very good. You said it. Your answer is perfect. When a person is worried, when a person is worried, his face turns yellow. Okay, means the color of the face changes. So this is pale. Okay, this is in Urdu. You may also say zard par jana, pila ho jana. Okay. So Mrs. Thatcher turned pale and had to sit down, just as Aunt Polly passed by. Good morning, Mrs. Thatcher. Good morning, Mrs. Harper, said Aunt Polly. I think my Tom must have stayed with one of you last night. Now, Aunt Polly means Tom's aunt was thinking that his Tom was with Mrs. Thatcher or Mrs. Harper. Okay, and now he's afraid to come to church. Just wait till I see him. Mrs. Thatcher shook her head and turned paler than ever. He didn't stay with us, said Mrs. Harper. Now Mrs. Harper told Aunt Polly that Tom did not stay with them. Okay, beginning to look worried, Aunt Polly began to look frightened. Joe Harper, have you seen my Tom this morning? No. When did you last see him? Joe tried to remember but was not sure. So, what happened? Tom's aunt, means Aunt Polly, was asking Mrs. Thatcher and Mrs. Harper that if his Tom was with them, and they said that no, he wasn't with them. Now Aunt Polly was so worried. Okay, now here two ladies are worried. Aunt Polly is worried for Tom, and Mrs. Thatcher was worried for whom? For whom Mrs. Thatcher was
Becky.
worried?
Becky.
Becky.
Good. Mrs. Thatcher was worried for Becky, and Aunt Polly was worried for Tom. And you know where were they? I hope you remember. We have read the lesson. They
In
didn't.
the cave.
Very good. They didn't stay with any of them. They stayed at Widow Douglas place. Okay, they stayed at Widow Douglas
Will the
place.
glass.
Good. Now, Aunt Polly asked Joe Harper, one of his friends, to tell where or when had he seen his Tom. Okay. Hania Rahim, please. Okay, if you are having internet issue, I'm going to post this lecture after the class on the Google Classroom. You may catch up from there. Okay. No, we are just completing the reading
Yes.
of this lesson. Hania Rahim. Yes.
Miss,
Yes.
Miss Tom and Becky are still at Widow Douglas place.
Yes. So nobody knew about them, okay, because they didn't inform anyone. They didn't tell anybody that where they were. Okay, so everybody was worried. Okay, everybody was worried for them. Mrs. Thatcher was worried for Becky, and Aunt Polly was worried for her Tom. Okay, now Joe tried to remember but was not sure. The people stopped moving out of church. Whispers went round, and everyone started looking worried. Children were questioned, and the young ladies and gentlemen. So everybody was asking the children who were there and the young ladies and gentlemen about Becky and Tom, but nobody knew where they were. Okay, they all said that they had not noticed whether Tom and Becky were with others on the way home. It was dark. No one thought of asking if anyone was missing. One young man at last said he was afraid that they were still in cave. Now nobody noticed that who was missing because it was so dark, and nobody knew who is coming with them back to the home. Okay, it was so dark and no one bothered to ask for anyone. Then one young man at last said that he was afraid that they were still in the cave. Please turn off your mic, it is disturbing the class. Mrs. Thatcher and Aunt Polly began to cry. Now they started crying for the kids. The news spread from lip to lip, from group to group, from street to street, and in 5 minutes the bells were ringing and the whole village was out for the search. Now this news spread everywhere, and everybody was worried and asking question related to those two kids. And Injun Joe and his friend were forgotten. Now, in this haphazard, everybody forgot about Injun Joe and his friend Spaniard. Okay, horses were got ready, boats hurriedly put into water. The ferry boat was ordered out. In less than an hour, 200 men were going down the river and the roads towards the cave. Now, many started the search for those two kids, means Becky and Tom, and the boats were down in the river, and there were several people who were in search of those two kids. Okay, all that afternoon the village seemed empty and dead. Many women visited Aunt Polly and Mrs. Thatcher and tried to comfort them. Since these two ladies were so worried for the kids, many women visited them and tried to comfort them. Okay, all the night the village waited for news, but when it was light, the only word that came was send more candles and food. So everybody was here waiting for the news, because so many people were in search of those two kids. But the news that come, the words that they heard was send more candles and food. It means they wanted more candles and food because they didn't find the kids. The old Welshman came home in the early morning. He was covered in candle wax and mud and was very tired. Now, the old Welshman came home in the early morning and he was covered in candle wax. As I told you, that in the cave there was candle that lit up the cave. So, whosoever visited the cave was covered in the candle wax. He found Huck still in bed, sick with a fever. Now, when old Welshman returned home, he found that Huck was there at his home. He was having rest, right? You remember? After the breakfast, Huck was having a rest there, and he was in bed sick with fever. So he was suffering from fever. All the doctors had gone to the cave, so that Widow Douglas came to look after him. So there was no doctor, and Widow Douglas was his neighbor, Welshman's neighbor. So she came at his place to look after that boy Huck. Okay, she still did not know the part he had played in saving her from the revenge of Injun Joe. And Widow Douglas was not aware, was still not aware that uh, Huck had helped uh, in saving Widow Douglas' life. Okay, he had saved Widow Douglas from the revenge of Injun Joe. Early in the afternoon, some of the men began to come back to the village. Others were still carrying on the search. So, in the afternoon, some of the men began to come back to the village, and they didn't find those two children, and others were still searching for them in the village. It was said that every corner of the cave was being looked into, and men were searching places that had never been visited before. So, what was happening there? One of the men told that it might be the case that they are still in the cave, so we should go and find them in the cave. But when they went there in the cave, and there was no one in the cave, and some of the men were searching the places that had never been visited, means they were searching for those two children everywhere in the village. For 3 terrible days and nights, there was no more news. So it was already 3 days and nights that they heard no news related to those two children. Okay, so this is the whole story. I hope you have understood it, and if you have any question related to this, you may ask me. Or Mohammed, on I'm reading your message. Yes, Mohammedan, we are left with just two lessons. Yes, Alina Salman, it depends on the topic. For example, if you are writing the advantages or disadvantages of something, you never write it in the past form, you just write in the present form, right? Just because you are telling its advantages or disadvantages. But if you are writing on the topic like picnic um, or an exciting match, you always write it in the past because you are describing the event that had already taken place, right?
Miss, there will be 100 words paragraph or not?
Beta, you will be given you will be given a topic. You will be given a topic and you'll have to write a paragraph on it, okay? You will have to write a paragraph on it, means 100 words. So it's not that big deal, okay? It's not that uh, difficult task. I know you may write it. You will write it easily. Okay, so are you guys ready? Now I am asking some of you to start the reading from the first line of the chapter, in church. Yes, Shanti Kumari.
Miss,
Shanti Kumari, please start the reading, in church.
In church, yes, miss. In church, there was no Sunday school during the day school holiday, but everybody was early at church.
Early at
News came
church.
that the two men had news came that the two men had still not been found. When the meeting was over, Judge Thatcher's wife went to speak to Miss Harper. Is
Mrs.
my Becky
Harper.
going to
Mrs. Harper.
Mrs. Harper, is my Becky going to sleep all day? I knew she would be very tired. Your Becky, said Mrs. Harper.
Said
Yes,
Mrs.
didn't
Harper.
she?
Said
said
Mrs.
Mrs.
Harper.
said Mrs. Harper. Yes, didn't she stay with you last night?
Didn't she stay
Why
with
not?
you last night? Didn't she stay with you last night?
Didn't she stay with you last
Okay,
night?
stop. Stop, Shanti.
what?
Good. Stop, Shanti. Now, Arisha Amir. Arisha Amir.
Why no, Mrs. Becky, Mrs. Thatcher turned pale and had to sit down just as Aunt Polly passed by. Good morning, Mrs. Thatcher. Good morning, Miss Harper, said Aunt Polly. I think my Tom must have stayed with one of you last night, and now he's have stayed with one of you last night, and now he's afraid to come to church. Just wait till I see him.
Okay, stop. Good, Arisha. Stop. Miram Vakar. Miram Vakar. Miram Vakar. Miram Vakar, are you with me? Okay, I think she is having something at her end. Now, Ajwa. 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 Ajwa, can you please read? Ajwa. Okay. Now, Alina Salman. Alina Salman. Okay.
Mrs. Thatcher
Hmm.
Mrs. Thatcher shook her head and turned paler than ever. He didn't stay with us, said Mrs. Harper, beginning to look worried. Aunt Polly began to look frightened. Joe Harper, have you seen my Tom this morning? No. When did you last see him? Joe tried to remember but was not sure. The people stopped moving out of church. Whispers went round, and everyone started looking worried. Children were questioned, and the young ladies and gentlemen They all said that they had not noticed whether Tom and Becky were with the others on the way home. It was dark. No one thought of asking if anyone was missing. One young man at last said he was afraid that they were still in the cave. Mrs. Thatcher and Aunt Polly began to cry.
Okay,
The
very
news
good,
spread.
very good, very good, Alina Salman. Stop. Mahat Kashif. Mahat Kashif, can you please read? Mahat Kashif, can you please start the reading? Your voice is not clear. Mahat Kashif, there is so much noise, I can't hear you. Mahat Kashif. Okay. Now, Ajwa, please continue the reading. Ajwa.
The news spread from lip to lip, from group to group, from street to street, and in 5 minutes the bells were ringing and the whole village was out of the search. Injun Joe and his men were forgotten horses were got ready, boats hurriedly put into the water, the the ferry boat was ordered out, in lost that
In less than an hour,
in
in
less than an hour,
hour.
two 200 men were going to the river and the roads towards the cave.
Okay, okay.
All the
Stop, Ajwa. Stop, Ajwa. Hamza Anjum. Hamza Anjum. Hamza Anjum. Can you please
Yes,
continue the reading?
miss. All that afternoon, the village seemed empty and dead. Many women visited Aunt Polly and Mrs. Thatcher and tried to comfort them. All night, the village waited for news, but when it was light and only word that came was send more candles and food. The old Welshman came home in the early morning. He was covered in candle wax and mud and was very tired. He found Hug still in bed, sick with a fever. All the doctor had gone to the cave, so Widow Douglas came to
Okay,
look
stop.
in.
Stop, Hamza. Very good. Nida Fatma. Nida Fatma, can you please read? Nida Fatma, can you please continue
Yes.
the reading? Okay.
Widow Douglas came to look after him. She still did not know that the part he had played in saving her from revenge of Injun Joe. Early in the morning afternoon
Early in the afternoon.
of the some men early in the afternoon of the some men began to came back to the village.
Okay,
Other
stop. Okay,
were
stop.
still
Okay,
carrying.
Nida, stop. Yusera Khan. Yusera Khan. Yusera, are you with
Others
me?
were Others were still carrying on the search. It was said that every corner of the cave was being looked into. Men were searching places that had never been visited before. For 3 terrible days and nights there was no more news.
Okay, very nice. Very good, everyone. We have finished the reading. You all have read very, very nicely. So, we are done with today's lecture. I hope you have enjoyed today's lecture. You have enjoyed reading, you have enjoyed the lesson, and we are done with the reading. In the next class, we'll do the question answers of this lesson. Okay, so that's all for today. See you tomorrow. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz, and please get yourself prepared for the exams. Start your
Allah
revision.
Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Office miss.
Allah Hafiz, everyone.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz, everyone.